Let's get loud! Let's get loud. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another session of Let's Get Loud. This evening, we'll be discussing a very important topic. It's about our dad and the things he would get loud on. And in studio with me this evening, I have my brother-in-law, Nupaul, and my dear husband, Greg. This evening, Nupaul and Greg, what do you think Daddy would really want to get loud on if he were here today? Nupaul.
Well, I believe if he were here and he wanted to talk about something that was important to him, he would want to speak about a passion he had for anything that he pursued. And you see it in the results. You see it if you talk to people who worked with him, you hear it. It's something that was a very, very important part of who he was.
Yes. And when I was listening to the eulogy, one of the things that really stood out was the fact that when Daddy decided he wanted to pursue what he really believed in, which was architecture, he actually upped and quit his job at the time he was working in a store. And how many people do you think would be brave enough to want to just get up and just quit their job to pursue their passion?
Not many.
Not many.
No, not at all.
A lot of people in the world right now, and that's the story for most people. You know, they want to do something. They know what they need to do, but they don't have that willingness to make that sacrifice and to take that step into complete uncertainty.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He took a step. He had no backup plan. He had no plan B. He had a stable job, and he walked away from it to study at home and to farm just to make enough just to live.
Right. And at the time, I think he was taking care of his younger siblings because his parents had died. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So not many people would want to do that. And in Jamaica at that time, there wasn't a college here in Jamaica. He had to do all of this by correspondence courses.
Yeah.
And he did that through a college in England, right?
That's right, Bennett College.
What's the name of the college? Bennett College. And it took nights, took days looking after his animals and doing his farming to ensure that food was on the table. And he aced it based on what we were told. He passed with flying colors.
Yeah. He was an academic. You know, he had no problems doing the work. He had no problems understanding the work. What's interesting is that he studied theory, but he was able to bring the theory into a practical application in the real world. Not many people can do that in any kind of study, any kind of field. And he was able to do it at a time when there were no computers, there were no smartphones. You couldn't Google how to do our YouTube, you know, step by step. No. You had to figure it out. But most importantly, he knew how to collaborate with people who knew more than he did.
No, that's a very important thing that you touched on right now. Collaborating with people who knew more than he did, because that's a thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that to get ahead in life, you have to find somebody who was already there, who is doing what you want to do, and you want to learn from them. And that's what you said Daddy did, right? You told me something, Nupaul, about when you were much younger and when Daddy started out in his whole business, that he used to wake up pretty early to just be with him. Tell us more about that. What did you see him doing?
Well, he used to prefer going to bed on the earlier side and waking up really early in the morning.
What is early?
I'm pretty sure it was maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. It would change though, depending on what he had to do, depending on what kind of projects he had. But his routine would be, he would wake up, he would go into the office. And when I joined him in the office, he would have me in one corner of the drawing board. Then he would tape like a small 8.5 by 11 paper in a corner with tape, just like his big paper taped. Mine had to be taped the same way all the way around, not the little corners. And then he would give me stencils. Stencils are like these plastic. You use them when you're drawing. A lot of people probably don't know about stencils anymore. But if you wanted to draw a perfect circle, you have a stencil, different size circles. He'd give me all of those things, and I would draw my little house plants next to him. And periodically, for whatever reason, he would stop and he would pray. You know, we would go back into the living room and he would kneel down on a couch that we still have here, and he would pray. And I would be there with him, kneeling down with him, not praying, but just mimicking him.
Right. And did he ever share? Did you hear what he was praying about?
Back then I did. I don't remember now.
Okay. Sometimes, I think when Daddy, based on who Daddy was and what I knew about him, is that he would pray for heavenly wisdom. And you said sometimes he would leave his work and just go praying and come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did that a lot.
He did that a lot. And that's a remarkable thing to do, because a lot of people don't realize that when you are stuck, one thing you can do is just pray about it and seek guidance and clear your head. So Nupaul, tell us about just growing up and watching him doing his work, how passionate he was about that. I know you spend more time with him than Greg did.
Yeah, he was very passionate. He was definitely doing what he wanted to do. And you could tell because any chance he got, he was around the computer. Everybody knows that. You come in through the office door, you see him, he'll peek his head out from behind the monitor. Hey, so, you know. Growing up, it was interesting because when he started teaching me architecture, at a point where I was catching on to it, I was learning it because I started so young.
Right.
I remember getting to a point where I was super confident.
Wow.
And then confidence lead into arrogance, I think, when you're younger. And there are a lot of times when you would be reminded just how unique his mind was, because sometimes it wasn't just academics, sometimes it was creativity.
When you say creativity, can you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Sure. It's kind of like this. If you're designing something, right, there are often multiple ways of doing the same thing. And it could be this person wants, I don't know, this size home and on this type of land. But he would find ways to maximize how that land was used. And every single time it was different.
Wow.
So I remember times when I wanted to do designs a certain way, and I was absolutely sure, right? And here's something he did. Here's something he actually did a lot. I'm there explaining myself. He already know what the problem is, what I'm saying, but he wouldn't interrupt me.
Right. Wow.
He would never interrupt me. That's the truth. He would wait until I was finished, and then he would ask me questions. Not because he wanted to, like, prove that I was wrong, but I think that over years I realized that he was asking me questions to challenge himself too, because there's a chance that maybe I'm onto something. Maybe. Small chance. But that's just how he was. He had humility. A lot of people who are very smart, they assume that their knowledge is superior, but he was never like that. There were times when I was right, not many times, but there were times when I was right, and he would discover this by asking me questions. So he would never assume that he had all the answers. He would listen. And then when he got to the point where he would tell me why what I was saying might have not been on point, he would be able to deliver it so clearly because he understood what I was saying so well. You couldn't argue with it. You couldn't. You just knew. You just knew what he said was true. And that happened a lot. I had to learn how to bring it back. As a young man being overconfident and trying to do more and more and more, you had to learn how to bring it back and to do everything with a lot of caution, step by step.
Step by step.
And I still do that today with what I do.
Greg, can you relate in any way to what Nupaul said? I know you didn't spend a lot of time around Daddy per se as Nupaul did, but can you relate to that part of Daddy where he asked a lot of questions to invoke your thinking and invoke your own knowledge?
Absolutely. Nupaul experienced more of the drawing because at the time when I migrated to the US, that's when AutoCAD was coming in. That's when drawing on the computer gave way to more interaction. When we were growing up, it was the big T-square, the old-fashioned equipment, and it was watching him do something so effortlessly.
When you say effortlessly, can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
It was with ease, it was with confidence. He referred to his books, he referred to prior drawings, And one thing that always did is he did his research, he did the groundwork. So when he put pen to paper, he didn't erase much.
Wow.
So there's a lot to be saying for planning. One of the big things that I think I grasped from his teachings, and he's always teaching.
Okay.
He don't just tell you how to do something, he teaches you how to do something. And his questions are always geared to engage you in the process, not just to not to belittle you or to say you don't know anything, but to bring you up to where he was. And you know, when you talk to him, that's how his what we call now mentors did for him. And it's about the preparation. He was always tactical. He looked at all the inputs in order to be able to give you a very precise output. It's with working on cars. It's diagnosing a problem. He would start from one part. The headlights burn out. Why did it burn out? Do we have power? Yes, we have power. Okay, are the wires joined? Yes. Is it a relay? And he would just methodically go through it step by step.
Through the process.
Yes. You know, very militant. And maybe that's why my brothers call me Sarge.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So, Nupaul, back to you and more on the drawings. How do you think that he really discovered his passion for architecture? Did he ever discuss that with you?
That's a very good question. I think that he's an engineer, and I think that he had an engineer's mind. I think he legitimately had that talent. Some people, you hear these stories of people, they're just mathematically inclined.
Right.
And they naturally drift in that direction. Maybe they become teachers, maybe they become researchers, or somebody who's artistic.
Right.
They naturally follow that path, and life tends to open up opportunity depending on what drives you the most. It's just the way it works.
Right.
And I believe that he has an engineer's mind. He's growing up in an era where houses are starting to become a little bit more sophisticated. We remember our old home. When our whole old home was built, it was one of the biggest houses in the area.
Wow.
Right? So I would think that he might have gotten influenced by seeing other houses being built. And another thing, like I said before, is he knew how to collaborate. He knew how to engage with people. And if he saw someone doing something that he felt was interesting, he would engage them. He really would. And he would talk about them. So a lot of this is my imagination, but I believe he must have been inspired from seeing construction around him.
Right.
And he must have used that inspiration to maybe enrich his curiosity. And then maybe that led him to, okay, how can I learn? What kind of ideas? Maybe someone might have said, hey, there's this correspondence course. Or maybe he was in Gleaner one day and just like a sign, it just landed itself in front of him.
Right.
But whatever the case is, we know that the moment he discovered there was an opportunity for him to learn, he never wasted any time.
Never wasted any time. Which is important because a lot of us, we find ourselves stuck in situations where we keep working and we're working at jobs that we're not passionate about. But he took a job, maybe something he did well, like most of us do, we do our jobs well. And then to find out that this is not really what I was sent here to do. I was sent here to do greater things than this. So as the custos of St. Elizabeth said when she was doing the eulogy or the remembrance, she said, he not only left his footprints on the hearts of people, but he left his handprints on a lot of buildings, which was very commendable, given the fact that he took that step of faith to get up, something that a lot of us, we can't seem to do, quit our jobs and go pursue what we are passionate about. And I do believe, as you said, that if Daddy were here at this moment, sitting with me and sitting with us on this, he would say to us, like the Nike ad says, just do it. Because you mentioned talking with him back in August, and you asked him some questions. You want to go into that a little bit and share?
I can share this, that I was searching for something for my own personal life because, as you know, I'm pursuing different things.
Right.
And a lot of them are in the direction of things I feel like I would make me very happy.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm pursuing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, how did he do it? I kept asking him that, how did he do it? And he kept saying, you just have to make up your mind to do it and you have to want it. That's
Wow.
what he kept saying.
You have to want it.
You said you have to want it and you just have to make up your mind to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Which
make
are
up your mind.
two key things, because we can make up our minds, right? But then we don't take action.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so once we make up our minds, we have to take action and pursue what we really want to do. Like you said, you really want to have to do it. Because sometimes we think we want to do something, but in truth and in fact, it's not what we're really passionate about. It's not what we really want to pursue in life. And then we find ourselves in the middle of it and we're burnt out and we don't want to go any further. And a lot of people just give up. Like, this is not really what I wanted to do. So like Dad said, you have to make your mind up and you have to really want it.
Yeah.
And that's why we find a lot of people who actually end up like doing what Daddy did, is that he wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to be an architect. He wanted to be the best engineer possible. And as we take a break right now, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about his passions of building roads, because some of the roads that we drive on here in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, was built by Dad. And we're going to talk some more on that when we return. In the meantime, if you like what you're watching, remember to do the LCSS. You're going to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We'll be right back.